Ka'Bandha is an exalted bloodthirster and one of the mightiest of Khorne's servants. Known commonly as the Angel's Bane or the Bane of the Ninth Bloodline, he is a demon champion of the Blood God and famed for his brutal combat skills. His exact age and origin are unknown. Ka'Bandha is described as a red beast, standing as tall as a building. His red skin is adorned with twisted metal armor, rife with trophies and sigils to Khorne. His head is hideous, with a mouth adorned with sharp teeth and two sets of massive horns protruding from his scalp. He possesses immense physical strength, which is even further boosted by a pair of massive wings, allowing him to quickly traverse the battlefield. He often wields two weapons, a great axe in one hand and a demonic lash whip in the other, both of which are capable of cutting an Astartes in two. Ka'Bandha was first documented by mankind during the early Horus Heresy. He was first sighted leading demonic forces against the Blood Angels at the Battle of Signus Prime, alongside the Keeper of Secrets Kyrus the Perverse. He was summoned to the Materium by sacrificing the word-bearer astropath Korokoro Sazi. During the battle, Ka'Bandha engaged in an airborne battle with Sanguinius and broke the Primarch's legs before unleashing the Rage Fire upon the Legion. After the Great Angel was recovered, thanks to the efforts of his Blood Angels, he engaged in a second round of fighting with Ka'Bandha and banished him back to the Warp. This traumatic, brutal violence that Ka'Bandha had unleashed sent a thirst for blood through the psyche of the Blood Angels on the planet, which did not rest until every taint of chaos had been erased from the world. This affliction eventually spread to the whole Legion and became known as the Red Thirst. Upon his return to the Warp, the broken Ka'Bandha crawled before Khorne, met only with disgust and mockery. For his failure, he was banished from Khorne's court, doomed to scavenge on weak souls to survive in the formless wastes. Other bloodthirsters led hunting parties to seek his skull, and in time, the desperate Ka'Bandha learned to be cunning. The hunters became the hunted, and Ka'Bandha took their armor and weapons for his own. Ka'Bandha eventually returned to the fortress of Khorne with the skulls of these defeated foes, demanding a second chance from the Blood God. Khorne agreed, ordering Ka'Bandha to harvest 500 Blood Angels' souls in the presence of Sanguinius. He was later among the greater demons summoned into real space by the Thousand Suns during the Battle for Terra. After the Lion's Gate spaceport fell to the traitors, the demons were unleashed to destroy the Imperial Palace's Colossi Gate. While they succeeded in tearing down the gate's outer defenses, the demons were destroyed by the White Scar's Stormseers and the Adeptus Custodes before they could complete their task, and Ka'Bandha was beaten back with them. However, this did not stop him from his quest to restore his favor with the Blood God. He soon returned as the last phase of the Siege of Terra was being fought, setting his sights on the Blood Angels. He was the first greater demon who managed to pass the Emperor's weakened psychic shield around the Sanctum Imperialis and launched an attack on the Eternity Gate. He then broke through the last Imperial defenses in front of the Eternity Gate, thus paving the way for the last grand traitor assault, though he didn't care who actually won the battle. As the Imperials reeled, the greater demons sought out Blood Angels among the defenders and butchered them. After seeing the carnage, Sanguinius sallied forth to save his sons, and the two dueled once more, though Ka'Bandha constantly attempted to break away to keep killing regular Blood Angels. Eventually, however, the Primarch managed to enrage him so much that he focused on their duel. At one point, the demon cast Sanguinius to the ground, but unlike on Signus Prime, he rose to his feet once again, and calling upon the last of his strength, hefted the demon by the neck. After a struggle, Sanguinius was eventually able to break the Bloodthirster's back with the hilt of his sword, allowing the Primarch to hurl the greater demon back into the heretic army. He then took his sons and finally retreated back to the safety beyond the walls of the Eternity Gate. In the madness, Ka'Bandha's broken body was consumed by weaker demons of Khorne, and he later furiously realized that he had failed the test set by his master. His exact standing with Khorne after the heresy is unknown, though he has been spotted numerous times as part of Khornate hosts implying he still is, at least somewhat, in the god's favor. The next documented case of the Daemon occurred in 823 of M41 on the planet of Kartas. Here, the Blood Angels' strike cruiser Baal's Fist was responding to a distress call from the world of Kartas, which was under attack by bands of pirates. Captain Abel Zorael decided to respond to the crisis, and Baal's Fist destroyed the pirate flagship, whose warp drive malfunctioned, causing a Khorne host led by Ka'Bandha to invade the world. Ka'Bandha slew Captain Abel Zorael in the ensuing battle, and the Sanguinor ultimately banished the demon only after 80% of the Blood Angels had perished. The next sighting of the beast was in 944 of M41, when the Grey Knight's prognosticators predicted that Ka'Bandha would shortly return to the mortal world. Knowing Ka'Bandha to be a dangerous foe, and moreover, one who had earned the bitter enmity of the Blood Angels, the Grey Knights brought this news to the attention of Commander Dante and proposed a joint strike. Taking the initiative, a combined strike force of Blood Angels and Grey Knights assailed Ka'Bandha's fortress on the demon world of Kalagazar. The operation was a success. Ka'Bandha was banished, the demon armies were destroyed, and Kalagazar itself was subjected to exterminatus. At the campaign's end, the surviving Blood Angels had their memories wiped, a price Dante had agreed to with the Grey Knights at the mission's start. In 999 of M41, as the Blood Angels prepared for the main tendril of Hive Fleet Leviathan to assault the Baal system, Mephiston received portents that Ka'Bandha was preparing to assault the chapter's home world, where all the chapters of the Blood had gathered. The presence of the angel's Bane would throw the defense into chaos, and so Mephiston led a collection of librarians from various chapters to thwart the demon's arrival. Though they managed to wound Ka'Bandha, they could not prevent his entry into the material realm. As the Great Rift tore through the galaxy, he emerged above Baal Primus, just short of his goal of Baal. Landing on the moon, he and his demons slaughtered Tyranids and Space Marines alike in a frenzied three-way battle. On Baal, as the Blood Angels finally defeated the last of the Tyranids, they could see Ka'Bandha's rune stretched across Baal Primus's southern hemisphere, written with the skulls of millions of Tyranid beasts. The demon then departed, seemingly satisfied that the Tyranids had not taken his archenemies away from him. The monument was demolished from orbit by the fleets of the Blood Angel chapters. Ka'Bandha next appeared during Khorne's Blood Crusade, leading its second wave. He was later banished back to the Warp by Mortarion during the War in the Rift and has not been seen since. Still, he has clearly procured a large sway over the court of Khorne and will likely strike once more soon. Where or when is still a mystery, but the why is sure to be his quest to slay every son of the great angel. Thank you for listening to this entry from the Warhammer 40,000 Lexicanum.